Hello, Lucy here from Gloss Nappies, the Gloucestershire Real Nappy Project, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about big bottomed babies. So we love a big chunky bum on a baby, especially in a cloth nappy. They're very cute, but one of the problems that we sometimes have when we're cloth napping babies is that not all babies are the same size. Now, speaking as someone who had two gigantic babies, the picture of my two was in the thumbnail that was on this video. My first one was £9.3 and my second one was £11.5. And the picture there is of my first one when he was just two, holding my second one when he was a week old. That is a week-old baby and he is enormous. So whenever people sort of say, to me, oh, they say birth to potty, but they wouldn't fit anyone at birth if they only fit from about 10 pounds up. And I always kind of go, they'd fit both of my babies. And they did fit both of my babies at birth because I had giant children. So if you have tiny little weeny ones, we've talked quite a lot about that, about how you can get newborn size nappies. And you can get the little teeny fits, the little cute ones, and you can use muslins and you can use size 1 wraps. And you can fit nappies down to be smaller. But we don't talk as much about what happens if you have giant babies, because some of them just have such fantastically lovely squidgy chubby thighs that they kind of grow out of a birth to potty nappy. And some of them are particularly sort of prone, some of the nappies are particularly prone to this being a problem. Before they get to the point of either potty training or that magic point where they start to slim down again. And we do sort of like to say this to people. Quite often, when you're going up the rise settings on your nappy, the 3 rises on the front of the poppers, people sort of say, oh, how's it ever going to last until they're potty trained when he's only 15 months, 18 months, and I've already got it on the biggest possible size. And I do like to point out to people that quite often, babies that have got really lovely chunky thighs, you end up on the biggest size thinking, oh my gosh, these are never going to fit. And then as they start to toddle more, they get up on their feet, they get active and they start running around and run you ragged because you're trying to keep up with them. But they slim down a lot. And babies, there's something, they sort of get bigger and bigger. And then they get to about 18 months. And you'll notice this with their clothes sizes, they do not get wider. They just get longer. And it's kind of a wonderful thing, particularly if you have girls, I find, because I have 2 boys. But with friends with little girls, they'll be in a dress that's ankle length one summer, and then the next summer it's knee length, and then the next summer they're wearing it as a tunic with leggings, because they've literally just gone up and up and up, and they haven't gone out. So kids do quite often slim down again once they get active. So sometimes that isn't a problem and you actually end up having to go back down a rise size on your, a rise popper size on your nappies or your wraps, which is worth bearing in mind because it wouldn't necessarily occur to you. You might suddenly think, hold on a minute, these have been working really well for ages, and then suddenly I'm getting leaks again, and I thought I'd cracked this, and you know, he's nearly 2 and why am I getting leaks? And sometimes it's because although your child has got bigger and heavier, the extra size is height, not width, and it's particularly not around their legs. Their legs might have actually got slimmer. So the rise on a nappy, it's not about making it tall enough to fit your child. Cloth nappies, as we know, fit a lot lower than a disposable, and they do look a bit kind of builder's bum sometimes at the back. But these rise poppers, are about controlling the leg tightness. They're not really about the height of the nappy. So it's about keeping that leg nice and tight. That's what they cinch up. So quite often you'll find that adjusting that back down can sort that out. But there are babies, there definitely are babies, particularly if your babies are kind of right up on the top of the centiles like my 2 were. So both of mine have been off the top of the centile charts for sort of at least part of their childhood. And my older one, who is now just turned 9, is almost as tall as my lovely colleague Kirsty. He is 5 foot tall. at 9 years old, size 7 feet. So the giant ones, sometimes they are just giant and they keep being giants. So sometimes they don't slim back down. And that's why it's useful to know about larger sizes than birth to potty. So birth to potty is this one size fits most thing, where they generally say they're sort of £9–10 up to £35. And again, that depends on where that weight is distributed. You might have a very, very tall, thin baby, and that might fit perfectly. Or you might have a baby with the most fabulously squidgy thighs, and it's getting too tight, and you're not able to do them up without leaving marks that are not those sort of sock marks that fade easily, but marks that are sort of too deep, and they're not comfortable, and they're pinching, and you don't want to do that to your child. So there are larger sizes. You don't see them about as much on the nappy groups because not everybody needs them, but they are there and they do exist. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. So I said before, this is a particular problem in some brands of nappies. Now, I'm just going to point out here, a lot of people say, oh, nighttime nappies, brilliant, get Little Lamb Bamboo. Little Lamb Bamboo nappies are amazing. They're fantastic. They're really absorbent. They're lovely, lovely nappies. But one thing that you find, this is a size 2. I don't have the biggest size in this. This is the supposedly sort of birth to potty size. So they have size 1s from the smaller end, size 2s, which are it says, so the size 1s are supposed to be 7 to 20 pounds ish. The size 2 are supposed to be from about 20 to 38 pounds. It says on their website. I'm looking it up here. And the trouble is, these ones particularly known for shrinking as they wash. So they don't carry on shrinking forever, obviously clothes don't do that, but the first, they'll come and they'll be all lovely and fluffy and they'll look quite large. And then after about 3 or 4 washes, you sort of suddenly look at them, and if you buy more new ones and you look at them and think, they've shrunk, they're actually smaller, and they do. They do actually shrink a bit. And some people say when they're wet, you can sort of tug them a bit bigger again. But that's just part of, some fabrics do shrink a little bit as they're washed. But people sometimes get a little bit annoyed that their size 2s that they thought were going to fit all the way through don't. So just so that you're aware, Little Lambs, as well as lots of other brands, they do a size 3. So size 3 says it fits £35 and up. And they say that not every baby will need them, so don't buy them in advance, wait and see if you need them. And that's kind of good advice, really. So you're not necessarily going to need the bigger size, but if you find you do, they are out there. Now, we actually have, when we're not all stuck at home, because of lovely COVID, we have a system of loan kits, and we've had a few inquiries about those recently, and we feel really bad because we're not out and about and we can't hand them out at the moment, so we've had to suspend it, and we can't, it's just not something we can do uniquely and safely in the current environment. So we've had to suspend that service. But our loan kits, when we've got them, we have one teeny tiny little kit for little newborns and preemies. We have a load of loan kits that are birth to potty that will fit most babies. And then we have a junior kit. So we actually have a kit in this wonderful Sugar Skulls wet bag of the larger size ones to borrow. Now, I've actually used these with my second child, who still has nights when he's not dry. So despite having just turned 7, he still occasionally, and it's, you know, biologically normal, there are plenty of kids that do, and he occasionally has a problem with not being dry at night. So sometimes, not all the time, we will use these. And this one is a TJ's, talk about TJ's nappies sometimes. This is a TJ's junior size. So again, this is supposed to fit from about 30, 35 pounds, can't find it that quickly on there. So this is the bigger size. Now these are great because they are still adjustable like a birth to potty. So it's not just a case of this is a far bigger. I'm going to try and show you the difference in size. So this is the junior wrap that I bought for mine. And this is a standard TJ's birth to potty wrap. So you can see, if I hold them up the same height at the front, you can see you've got about an extra, maybe an inch either side on the front. And you've got quite a lot of length, quite a lot of height around the body. And if I turn it up and compare the back, without stretching the elastic too much, you've got, again, more than an inch either side, of bigger, probably 2 inches bigger around. So it goes quite a lot bigger around the body, and it goes a lot bigger taller. But it still has the size adjustment, so you can still fit it to your child. It's not just one massive size and it fits or it doesn't. So it's still got that adjustability, which I find really, really helpful, and it's still got all the pops around the front. These ones are poppers. So that is my favourite one. Those are the ones, having tried out all the ones in the junior kit, those are the ones that I found to be the best fit for me. So that's what I went and bought. And actually, having got to the point now, only just now, when he is 7, got to the point where these were getting too tight around the legs, and what I actually had to do, and I feel bad about this, I had to cut out the second gusset. They have double gusset, and it was just digging into his legs, so I took the scissors to it, and I feel really bad, but this is my one, not the Nappy Project one, so I'm allowed. But there you can see it does normally have a double gusset there, and the inner one was just getting a bit too pinchy. But that has lasted until he's 7. That's still fitted. So that really does give you a much bigger range of size adjustability than a birth to potty. So it is quite useful to know. Now, other things we have that didn't personally suit me and my child, but you know, things we have in Loan Kit and other things that are available out there. So we have some Tournesols. These only have, they have the one height, they don't have different height adjustable. They've got 2 different popper sizes around the edge, they're not quite as adjustable. And they're made like an all-in-one, so they've got a pad sewn in the middle, they have got a pocket that you could boost it. But I found that these, I couldn't get a very good fit, I got leaks around the legs. And I found that they took an age to dry, because they're that kind of original, old-styly all-in-one when they them out, that they've got a really thick pad sewn together in the middle there that you can't unfold, you can't take out. So they were exceedingly slow to dry. We've got a Mother Ease, which is very similar style. Looks almost identical in fact, but that's with the cotton inner. Again, wasn't quite the right size and shape on us. And there are lots. If you search on any of the Nappy Supply websites, particularly, I'm looking at the Nappy Lady, I'm looking up here, and she's got a section called Child Onwards Incontinence. So it's just to make people aware that these are out there in much bigger sizes. So it's not just about, hello Nicole, it's not just about getting your baby to potty training if you have a larger child. These are actually available all the way up into adult sizes. So if you have a child, or if you have an adult that has an incontinence issue, this is a possibility and it is out there. So it's not something that would be necessarily covered by the Gloss Nappies scheme, because our scheme is there to funded to get people started with cloth nappies, and it's only applicable to children up to the age of 2 when you can claim your voucher. But it's really nice to know that these options are out there and that they are possible to help. So just having a quick look at the Nappy Lady website, things that are available, you've got Trimer Plus by Petite Crown, you've got Apple Cheeks, they have size 3, goes to £30 to £65, they've got a size 4, goes 60 up to £100. It's big, £35 to £70, Bum Genius Bigger, £70 to £120. Kind of gets hard to think of pounds when you get to you know, the bigger sizes, but it's sort of, it's difficult to do it in ages as well. So there's Bambinex Child Onwards Incontinence, there's Hero Undies for bedwetting, Protective Brief Set by Threaded Armour. There are all sorts, Super Pro underwear by Charlie Banana. So there are a lot of brands, Bambinex child to adult boosters. So there are a lot more of these out there than you think there might be. You have to look a little bit harder to find them. They're not going to be necessarily advertised as much because not everybody is going to need them, but they are out there. And if you search for junior sizes in rather than birth to potty or rather than things, if you've got a nappy that is in sizes, the ones that sort of correspond to that larger end of the sort of baby into toddler size are usually called size 3. That's usually what you'd be looking for. And then obviously there are large sizes, like I was just saying, apple cheeks there have size 4. But in terms of cost, in terms of what is available out there. So looking at these, the TJs that I went for, you can get a junior pocket like this, a charcoal pocket, £9. The junior wrap that I went for, £7.50. By comparison, apple cheeks ones here on the Nappy Lady website, £23, £26. It's quite a big price differential. So it doesn't have to cost the earth. And obviously if you go for a wrap, as we know, you can wipe down and reuse the same one. You don't necessarily have to wash the whole thing. Now that's, I'm talking if you're doing it through the day. Mine get used at night time, so it'll be one wrap and it'll go through the wash and it'll come out and it'll definitely be dry when I need it the next day, because wraps dry really fast. There's nothing really there to hold the moisture. What I choose to put in mine, I have hemp. This is a tri-fold hemp, and I think this was £9. Now this is, I'm trying to count the layers, it's at least 3 layers of hemp, it might be 4. Trying to pinch and count the layers. I think it's 3. So a tri-fold hemp, and literally like an old pre-fold, you fold it into 3. If you wanted to get it into a smaller nappy, you could fold it that way, or you could fold it into 4. I mean, there's no lines on it, you don't absolutely have to make it into 3, but that tends to sort of fit the nappy. And this will fit inside either the wrap or the pocket. So if you want to use a pocket, just fold it into your pad like that, stuff it in your pocket, and it fits in quite nicely. And it goes on just like a normal pocket nappy. Or you can just tuck it in, like we've shown you before, in the flaps at either side of your wrap. There's the front, there's the back. And it goes in really simply and goes on really well. And hemp, well, my 7-year-old with a full bladder that would completely, utterly soak his bed has never managed to outwee a trifold hemp, a single one. So it will be wet in the morning, but I've never had a leak and I've never had him have a problem with outweeing this. So hemp really is amazing if you're talking about large children and large capacities. And that's sort of quite a nice, cost-effective way of doing it. And because I'm not having to use this all the time, I have 2 trifold hemp boosters. I have 1 wrap, and that does me, because the wrap can dry very, very quickly. This will be dry in a day, but I have 2 of these, so if it's not dry and worked its way back upstairs, I've got another one spare. And in my house, I have 2 small boys. The washing machine's on every day, and I'm not dealing with poo, so I don't have the volume to do a separate nappy wash anymore. I'm talking about the occasional one, but it's wee only, so it goes in with all my other washing. So I don't do a separate nappy wash on this. It just gets chucked in, because the wet bedding would anyway. And I know some people, different people have different standards of hygiene, of what they would find acceptable and would want to wash things separately. But if you weren't going to wash the wet pyjamas or the wet sheet separately, there's not really any need to wash that separately either. It's not soiled, it was just wet. So that's what gets done in my house anyway. That's my washing routine. So how long have I whittled on for? I've whittled on for 20 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? I may or may not be able to answer them, because I don't have experience of the whole range of things available out there, but I certainly will give it a go if anybody wants to ask any questions. So really what I wanted to say this evening was just to make people aware that there are larger options out there, that you might want them for getting your child up to potty training age. You might want them for larger sizes for either bedwetting, which is biologically normal, you know, up to age 6, 7. It's a lot of kids are not dry at night reliably until quite a lot later than we might be led to expect. So this could be an issue, and you can solve it quite easily and quite cheaply. You don't have to go into your dry nights disposables. You can have reusable options that are very easy to use, pretty cost effective when you consider it over the lifetime of the nappy. And yeah, the options are out there. Some of them will be more expensive, like some of the other brands I mentioned. Some of them will be on the cheaper end. Personally, this is the ones I've gone for, and they work brilliantly. I've kind of run out of things to say. So I'm going to leave it there. That's a shorter one than usual. I think I will just say though, if you are applying for the scheme, I did say earlier, the scheme to apply for your voucher with, yay, thank you Annie, I'm glad I'm not just talking gibberish. If you want to apply for your voucher through the Gloucestershire Real Nappy Scheme, the idea of the scheme is to fund people with getting started with nappies. So it's the qualifying criteria is you have to live in Gloucestershire and you have to have a child under the age of 2. So most people will not be buying at that stage larger size nappies, but some of them might. If they didn't decide to give it a try until their child was 18 months and they happen to have quite a large chunky child like I did, they might well find that they're buying little lamb size 3s or they're buying TJ's Juniors rather than buying burster potties that are going to be grown out of. In terms of the scheme, we don't police what size nappies you're buying. We need you to have spent £50 on cloth reusable nappies, and then we can refund you £30 of that when you submit your receipts. Or you can go for one of the 3 voucher packs that we've explained at length many times before. All of those are birth to potty though. So if you have a large child and you're going to be trying at that stage and need some bigger ones, you could go for something like this. If anybody comes up with any questions later, just ping them down below and I'll come back. Thank you very much.